The players on your server and the people in your community, they want to have a leaderboard. They may not know that they want a leaderboard. They may not know how to tell you that they want a leaderboard, but they definitely want to have a leaderboard. Whether you're running just one server or multiple servers, having a leaderboard for your community to monitor how well they're doing on their Rust wipe is an incredibly valuable tool. And the reason I say that is because when people start losing spots or gaining spots on your leaderboard, they want to maintain those spots. Therefore, it's going to drive them back into your server, A, to check their ranking, and 2, to make sure that they're still in the #1 spot. And if they're not, they're going to do whatever they can to get there. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rust Admin Academy, where I'm teaching you everything that you need to know about owning and operating a successful Rust server. On this channel, I do plugin reviews and tutorials, plus I want to give you all of those little tips and tricks that are going to help you better manage your community. So if you're brand new to the channel, consider subscribing so that you stay up to date on everything that we're working on, and of course you'll get notified as soon as I upload a new video. If you want to help support what I'm doing at Rust Admin Academy, head on over to SRTBULL.com, click on join, and become a member today. Every day that passes, I'm working on getting you better and better deals in the arena of everything Rust related. And today's video is no exception to that. I have a very lucrative deal that I want to introduce you to somewhere throughout this video. Part of it is going to benefit everybody that watches this video, but more importantly, if you become a member at srtbull.com, that deal gets even better. So if you've already implemented some sort of leaderboard for your server, probably a free version, and I'm thinking something like player challenges from umod.org. It looks something like this. It's free, it works, it gives you a ranking system built into different categories, and for what you pay for it, which is nothing, the return on investment is definitely there. But if you've decided that something like player challenges is no longer cutting it for you and you want to up your game, it's time to start looking at RankEval.gg, link in the description down below. So what RankEval does is it basically gives you as the server owner the ability to control what the algorithm looks like in order to control who ranks, how they rank, and what they have to do on your servers or within your community in order to earn ranks. And right off the bat, I'm hearing people say, well, I just run a community server, or I just run a vanilla server. I'm not allowed to use any kind of plugin like this on my server. That's not true. The team over at RankEval has touched base with the team over at FacePunch to make sure that this system is okay to be running on a vanilla or a community style server, mainly because it doesn't affect gameplay and it doesn't change anything that the player sees on their screen when they're playing Rust. So RankEval is incredibly easy to set up for your community. But let's just go through some of the steps. So first things first, we're going to want to log in. Top right hand corner, click on that login button. It's going to take you to a Steam login page that we've all seen before. Obviously is going to look something like this. The next page that you're going to be brought to is going to be the account linking page. Now, obviously, as you can see, mine are already linked up. Yours probably won't be if you've never been here before. So just go through the process of linking your Steam and linking your Discord, and then you'll be all set to go. One other important thing I want to point out here is they have a link directly to their Discord, and I highly recommend that if you're getting RankEval for your community, you're also a member of their Discord. There's a lot of really valuable information that goes on in there, not the least of which is a really easy to follow transition list that shows you a step-by-step process in order to get RankEval set up on your community. Once you go into the client area or the panel, this is where the magic is going to start to happen. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a menu, and I basically just want you to start at the top and work your way down to the bottom. So at the very top, we've got the organization profile. So this is obviously where we're going to tell RankEval all about our organization. And if my memory serves me correctly, there's going to be no information here for a brand new setup panel. And I believe you have to click on new organization or something of the like. So what name do we want to use for our organization? And if you have an icon, you can also put that organization icon right here. A brief description of what the organization is all about. And of course, you can also add in your community's website. This is the information that players would see if they searched for your organization on the browse page. The next important step is actually inviting the RankEval Discord bot into your community's Discord. Just click on that button right there. It's going to bring the Discord bot to your server. You'll have to grant it some permissions while you're doing that, but I'm sure you've all done this before. The organization credentials is really important information, but we're going to come back to that later. This is basically going to be the account verification between the RankEval servers, your Discord, and your Rust server. But we're going to come back to that later. Let's go into the subscription section. So if you haven't already by this point, you're going to want to select which subscription is going to be working best for your community. So you're going to pick between a $6 a month and an $8 a month. And as you can see here by their chart, the difference between those two is faster tick rate and then the event maps or heat maps that show a ton of information about your Rust server in the form of a heat map or event map. So if you want to have event maps for your server, you have to go with RankEval Pro, $8 a month. So here comes the deal for the people that have decided that Rust Admin Academy Premium is not quite for them yet, but they still want to get a discount. I haven't yet discussed the details. I'm going to suggest that the promo code that you can use if you've watched this video is SRTBULL25. If you use that promo code SRTBULL25, if that changes, I'll put it in the pinned comment down below, you'll save yourself a huge whopping 25% off of whichever subscription plan you go with for the first 3 months, which that in itself is a massive, massive discount. However, if you are a Rust Admin Academy Premium member, you're going to get that same 25% off for as long as you're a premium member of Rust Admin Academy. I'm going to give more details about that later. I just wanted to get that section in there right now. Next is the staff area. So who do you want to be able to access this panel for your community? Next up, we need to add which Rust servers we want to have a part of this RankEval profile. So mine, like yours, has no servers in it currently. So we're going to click on Add First Server, and this is where we get to put in the Rust server details that we want to have tracked on RankEval. Server title, server tag, do we have a team member limit? Are we on the community list? Are we on the modded list? The server address, the server port, the gather rate, what region of the world is our server residing in? And then we've got preset name, challenge name, and event map name. Now, in my case, as it will be in your case, that information hasn't been populated yet. So we're going to need to come back to this section after we've set up those presets. And then we just need to pick which type of leaderboard we want to have available for this specific Rust server. We can have a wipe leaderboard, which obviously only tracks what's going on during this current wipe. We can have a teams leaderboard, and we can have a lifetime leaderboard. You don't have to have all three. You can do any mix and match that you want to have for this particular server. Once you're done with all of that, click on submit, and that server then becomes saved. So before we start getting into those details that I said that we're going to come back to in a minute, we have one more thing that we need to have a look at, and that's the staff section. So this is basically where you get to determine who is going to have access to this back office or this panel. Obviously, you're only going to want to have people in there that you trust. So obviously server owners, admins, maybe moderators, but not necessarily. Honestly, once you're done and you have everything set up for your community, there's not a whole lot of reason to go back into this panel. All right, so let's get into setting up some of these presets. So let's go into algorithm presets first. So this is where we get to decide what the weighting is going to be for each of the activities that are happening on your server. Let's create our first preset. And as you can see there, by default, this is the weighting that it comes up with. Pretty generic stuff. So go through this and basically make sure that what you're doing here as far as the algorithm goes makes sense for your community. So for example, let's say that we wanted to have a higher weight placed on PvP activities and less of a weight put on PvE. So after I've gone through and made some changes here, I've made my weighting for PvP activities at 75%. So that is going to be monitored the most or weighted the most as far as the ranking goes for the players that are taking part in those activities. PvE, I've reduced down to 25%. Events are at 10%. Explosives at 5%. You can see where this is all going. If we scroll down just a little bit, we get to determine which events in these particular categories are actually going to be tracked by RankEval. So let's say we definitely want to track kills, but we don't necessarily want to track deaths. So we can uncheck deaths. Do we want to keep track of bullets fired? Maybe, maybe not. You get to decide this for your community. Let's say we don't want to track the small oil rig at all, but we definitely still want to track the large oil rig and the attack helicopter. Let's say we don't want to track green card events. This is puzzles and stuff like that, or blue card events. We only want to keep track of red card events. That way, players on your server can go do those puzzles, but they're only going to get tracked or ranked based off of the red puzzles that they're actually completing on your server. So as you can see here, you can very much control what the algorithm is going to look like that is used on your players in your Rust server in order to create a ranking system. This is very customizable. Once you've got that all set up the way that you want it, you click on submit, and now you have this algorithm preset that we can assign to the server that we set up a minute ago. Once we're done with the algorithm preset, let's go into the event map. So what do we want to have tracked on the event map that people can either see from our website or from the RankEval website? So let's create our first event map. So I'm just going to go through and do this the really easy way. I'm going to enable everything. I'm going to give this a name, call it test event map, and we're going to create this event map. And we're going to do the same thing for the challenges section. Now the challenges section is going to feel a little bit familiar if you've used a plugin like Player Challenges. So if we're going to have challenges on our server and we want to have the title of the top ranked player for each individual category, this is where we're going to take care of that. So we get to determine how many roles, so how many categories can a player be the top level in, and have their name displayed showing whatever title it is that they have. You can determine how many of those role titles will be here. I highly recommend you don't have too many roles here. It's not like you want to have somebody in your chat that has 17 different roles assigned to them after they've become the highest in whatever category it is. So I highly suggest you only use one, maybe two if you want to push it just a little bit more. And if you want to override whatever color it happens to be in your server, you can do that here, toggle that on, and you can pick whichever color you want that title to be after a player has become the #1 person in that category. And the list of available challenges is massive. You don't have to have them all. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Down below that section is where we get to determine what each one of those titles is going to look like. So we can give it its own individual color if you want. You can change the title of it. So the top number of kills doesn't have to be murderer. You can change it to whatever works better for your community. By default, we've got the highest number of bears killed would have the title of Slayer next to their name. If a player has the highest number of deer kills on your server, then they would have a hunter next to their name. And we can change those colors. We can make this look basically however we want. And so of course, for each one of those events that we talked about earlier, you can customize it all in this section down below. So this section looks pretty large, but it's just where you get to control all of those details. Once we're done setting up that profile, we click on submit, and now we can assign each one of those profiles, and you can have different profiles for different servers, or you can have different profiles that you can swap out for the same server. Let's say one month you want to track X more, and the next month you want to track Y more. You're in complete control of how you use this. So let's go back into the server section, and yes, I know I've now switched organizations, but it's so that I can show you what I've already set up. That other organization just doesn't have any information in it, doesn't have any servers assigned to it, nothing like that. So let's just go in and have a look at my ominous vanilla server. So pretend like this is your server that you set up a couple of minutes ago. And then we can use this drop down menu on each one of our servers to pick which profile we want to use for that particular server. So as you can see here, I've got a specific algorithm set up for my vanilla server, but a different algorithm set up for my 2x server. And I happen to not be using any challenge information at all, but I do use an event heat map. Okay, so now that we have all of that set up, you might be wondering, how does RankEval communicate with my Rust server in order to report this information, A, to my Discord, and to the RankEval website? Well, of course, we need a plugin for that. So in the top right-hand corner here, after you have everything all set up, you can click on Download Harmony Mod. So this is going to download a Harmony plugin to your computer that has already been pre-configured based on all of the information that you've now selected on your panel, and you just need to drag and drop it into the Harmony Mods folder on your server. Not the Oxide folder, not the Oxide plugins folder. This has to go into the Harmony Mods folder. Once we have the Harmony mod installed in the Harmony folder on our Rust server, we're going to go over to the transition checklist from the RankEval Discord so that we get the command right. And it's right here in the command section. We're just going to copy that, and then we can just plunk that into our server's console. And in your particular case, it's going to report back saying it's having a failure to authorize or something like that. And there's a really good reason for that. It's because we haven't gotten the authorization token from our RankEval dashboard in order to let RankEval know that this server is actually authorized to be using this system. So we're going to head back to the transition checklist. We're going to grab this rankeval.token, and then it's got a blank section where we would put in our token. I'm going to show you where to get that in just 1 second. So let's copy that. Let's take that over to our console. Don't hit enter yet. We don't want to send that information. We need to get our actual token. Head back over to the RankEval panel. Let's go into the organization profile on the top left-hand side, and let's grab this copy token right here. So we can just click on that button. It copies it to our clipboard. We can go back to our server's console and replace this section right here with our token. I'm not going to show you what my token is, but if I did accidentally show off my token, I would just head back over to the RankEval website, click on generate new token, and use that token instead. Once we've replaced that section with our actual token from the RankEval website, send that command to your console. We're going to grab the third command here, which is basically just going to reload the plugin and run that command in our Rust server console. That's going to validate with the RankEval backend, letting them know that we're actually allowed to be using this on this server, and then we're good to go. Everything is set up. We've set up our servers, we've set up our algorithms, we've set up our rules, we've set up everything. We're all set to go. All right, great. So now we've got everything all set up. We've got the plugin working. Everything is functioning exactly the way that it should be. Then we can head over to the RankEval website, go to the browser. We can search for our community, click on view servers, and here it's going to show all of the different information that we're showing going for our community. In my case, I'm running 3 servers under this organization, but you might be only running 1, and that's totally okay. So if we want to get current wipe information, we can click on that button right there. It's going to tell you everything that you need to know about this current wipe. We've got an event feed. We've got the heat map. We can filter out different things on our heat map depending on what it is that we want to see. Now, obviously, if you've just set this up for the very first time right now, you're not going to have very much information there. Give it some time. It's going to start reporting. And if we scroll down, we can see the individual ranks of what's going on your server. Again, same thing. If you've just set this up for the very first time, you're not going to have any information here. But don't worry, as your players start coming back and their information starts reporting, then it's going to start populating new information for you. So we've got an overall ranking, we've got PvP ranking, we've got event ranking, we've got all of the ranks that we set up when we were setting up this particular server. So let's just have a look at this player right here under the event section. So this player has taken cargo ship 7 times, they've taken small oil rig 3 times, they've killed the Bradley once, and they've done it a cumulative damage of 1.1 thousand hit points to the Bradley. Their events ranking is 1779. Harvest ranking, farming ranking, explosives ranking. We have a ton of information all directly available on the RankEval website. And yes, of course, you can have all of this information reporting directly to your own community's website. You don't have to be using the RankEval website. If you want to have that information reporting on your website, go back to the transition page in the RankEval Discord, and at the very bottom there, you've got website integration. And this is completely optional, but for those communities out there that do have their own organizational website, they're probably going to love this feature. The integration is literally 2 lines of code. It's not this. You have to get the one that's specifically built for your community. But if you've designed your website, you're going to know what to do with this information, and it's going to be super simple, and it's going to look absolutely awesome on your website. So now, what seems like forever ago, I told you to invite the RankEval Discord into your community's Discord. If you want to be able to have the RankEval Discord bot automatically update somewhere in your server, you can set that up. It is important to note that that functionality is a $5 add-on per month. So if you want to have RankEval reporting that information directly into your Discord, you can do that by using that Discord extension. So going in and having a look at how I have my Discord bot set up, let's go into Ominous Vanilla right here, click on modify. You can see what information is reported, and I've got it set up to report the current wipe data. I could swap that over to lifetime. Which server are we reporting for? And then of course, where we're going to be reporting that information. So after we've linked our Discord, we've invited our Discord bot, the RankEval website knows what channels and categories are available in our Discord. We can select which channel we want to have which server reporting to. And this right here is an important difference between RankEval 1 and RankEval 2. We weren't able to have a form submission, and now we can. So we can have the Discord bot reporting this information in forum style instead of in channel style. Now, in my particular case, I ran a poll in my community to determine whether they preferred the forum style or the channel style. They chose the channel style. So you don't have to have this functionality set up for your community, but I do know that the players that do frequent my Discord do use that method of checking what rank they're at, and also to determine what they have to do to jump another rank. All right, so after everything is all set up, there is a whole plethora of commands that we can run in game, and so can your players. So it's going to be important that you get this information across to your players however you choose to do that. So they can do /rank in chat. That's going to show them on screen only to the player their ranking as far as you've set it up using the weighting and the algorithms from the RankEval website. We can do /LT rank, which is lifetime rank. We can do /top to see what the top ranked players on this particular server are. And if we're using clans on our server, we can do /top clan to get information about the top clans on our server. Now, you remember earlier when we were talking about the player challenges involved with RankEval, and they come along with a title for the player that has whatever that rank is that we're talking about. We have the ability of turning that titling off. So we can do /rank on in order to turn that feature on, or we can do /rank off if we don't want to see any of those titles next to anybody's names. RankEval also has the ability of turning stats tracking on and off. However, I haven't found in the dashboard where we can turn that feature on or off, or who can actually utilize it. Unfortunately, that's my shortcoming because I know Deathburn has that answer. I just can't ask him while I'm recording this video. But we're supposed to be able to do /stats off, and then of course /stats on. I'm assuming what that is so that we can turn off tracking for admins or moderators within our server so that those players aren't actually tracked and messing with the tracking of the legitimate players on your server. I don't know that for sure. I'm just assuming that that's probably the case. And Outlaw just ran over a pig with his train. So I've been with RankEval for, I don't know, it seems like forever. I started with RankEval back when they only had 13 different communities under their banner. They now have 123 organizations all using the RankEval system, 258 servers, and they're monitoring 7,599 individual players. So as you can see, in the couple of years since I first did a video for RankEval, they've grown huge. So what I'm doing today is I want to take that one step further. Deathburn, which is the developer behind RankEval, is giving viewers of this channel, of this video, a massive deal. You're getting 3 months at 25% off when you use the promo code SRTBULL25. Again, if for whatever reason that changes, I'll let you know in the pinned comment down below. However, if you are a premium member at Rust Admin Academy, go to srtbull.com to sign up today. You're going to get 25% off for as long as you are a premium member of Rust Admin Academy, which is a monster, massive, incredibly deep discount. Deathburn has really stepped up to the plate for me. I only just threw it out there as a concept idea and he said, yeah, absolutely, I'm coming to the table for this. So you can only get this deep discount if you're in the Rust Admin Academy premium Discord, and you have to message me directly so that I can link you up with Deathburn. We'll get you all set up and you will save that 25% off for as long as you're a Rust Admin Academy premium member. Pro tip, if you're interested in Gallium, which is kind of a quietly being talked about anti-cheat system that's coming out, Rust Admin Academy premium members are also getting some exclusive deals. All right, that is RankEval. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section down below. If you haven't yet already, make sure you leave a like on this video. And if you want to compare where RankEval 2 is today to where it was when I did this video, check on this video right here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next week.